guys, this is Maria. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my 38 weeks pregnancy update. This is one of the most unexpected videos. I've never thought I will be filming it, and if you don't know why, if you haven't followed me, actually my third pregnancy and my two previous pregnancies ended at 35 weeks. The second one, even though I was on hormones and stuff. So in today's video, I will go not only over like my current symptoms and my update for 37 and 38 weeks, but also at the very end of this video, I will kind of talk about what we have done differently and what I think contributed to the current result of me being 38 weeks pregnant, in case you were following me for my high-risk pregnancy updates as well. So out of my latest symptoms that have changed since my last update at 36 weeks, I would say that I can definitely tell that my body is getting closer to the labor. I thought I would go in labor many times up until now, to be honest. And at this point, I'm like, oh, I think I have contractions. I'm fine. So I've been, ever since 36 weeks, if you watched my previous vlog, you could see that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going in labor. I've been feeling more crampy. I've been feeling lower back pains at night and during the day. I've also felt like, or thought that my stomach looks like it dropped. And the funny thing is that it's a lot, because the baby is so big at this point, a lot of it is where she's positioned. If I was standing for a long time now and I look at my belly versus me being laying, and then I stand up and I look at my belly. So I don't know still if my belly truly did drop, just because it seems to be like one day it looks like it dropped and the other day it looks as high as it did. It definitely have grown a lot, because I cannot honestly fit into anything at this point. I really can't. Like, I have, I think, 2 dresses left, and the last one, like, I can't even pull the button at this point. So I am like, okay, well, how much longer am I gonna make it? Do I need to go and buy something again? So yeah, definitely my weight gain had slowed down over the past 2 weeks as well, ever since I started getting the cramps. My swelling is as bad as ever. I sleep really well though at night, most of the nights, but we did have somewhat of a scare, but we're not really scared. Like, we were more excited, to be honest, 2 nights ago. So not this night, the night before, I woke up and I had practice contractions. Now, I want to talk about practice contractions a bit more, because I personally, even though I had 2 previous deliveries, my babies came early, so my body had never went through this stage of prepping for labor. So even though I did experience Braxton Hicks before, I never knew what it looks like when you get to full-term delivery. So when I read online, it's still not clear for me. So the way I would describe the contractions that I've been experiencing is, so it starts at the back, like a lower back pain, then goes to the very front. And even though it does feel almost similar to round ligaments pain, the other thing for me personally, almost feels like it is so tight right close to my rib cage that kind of knocks the air out of me a little bit. So like the taking the breath becomes even hotter. And then another thing is that it kind of tightens up, and then it tightens up for a certain amount of time, and then there is a distinct part where it lets go and I do not feel it anymore, so the pain goes away. And then the ones that I had, they lasted for about 45 minutes, and one of them was 10 minutes, the other one was 4 minutes. I woke up just after I had 2 of them already, because I was like, okay, well, something is going on. So I did not want to, like, he got ready, got dressed up, brushed his teeth, he was ready to go. And I was like, well, let's wait, because I felt so many different things throughout the weeks and I still did not go in labor. So I was like, might still go away. And it did go away. And then I went back to sleep, and then at 5 in the morning, I woke up again and I still had it, but you know, still no labor. It's been 2 days since then. So one of the things is probably just having all those symptoms, and they can occur multiple times. I had my appointment yesterday, and that was my first time checking my cervix for dilation, and I'm 1 to 2 centimeters dilated. I do lots of walking right now. If you watched my previous vlogs up until like 34 weeks, I was extremely low-key on any kind of activity. Ever since 34 weeks, I started walking a little bit and a little bit. Now I am about 2,500 steps a day. And sometimes when I walk, I feel lots of cramping and lots of pressure. So at my appointment, again, I'm dilated, baby's head down. The baby's head is really low. And still my doctor said, well, you could go in labor in the next few days, or you could go in labor in the next few weeks. So there is really no telling. I have not had any ultrasounds since 33 weeks. So it's been 5 weeks since I last seen the baby. So we really don't know much at this point. We've been doing definitely lots of waiting around, again, because we've been expecting this baby to arrive like 3 weeks ago. Not expecting, but we were kind of like, okay, well, it's happening soon. And then it didn't happen, and then it didn't happen again. And then I started getting like crampy and stuff, and it still didn't happen. So we're still waiting. I mean, I am at this point only 2 weeks away from my due date. So it's going to happen at some point. And I do think I'm getting closer. Again, my cervix has changed, it's gotten softer. So those are the things that you can look for at your appointment. At my last appointment, the other thing I discussed and something you might want to think about is what kind of, if you're using pain medication, what are your options? With me, even though again, it's my third one, I've never really explored it, because for me, the first time around, I was just in shock that I went in labor at 35 weeks. So whatever happened that night, I think my brain like fully blocked it out because it was unexpected and traumatic. The second time around, I never actually got to, like, I had a C-section because I had to, like my contractions were very long and Justin's heart rate was dropping. So I was given an option, either try it and then end up in emergency C-section or just go for C-section. So I went with C-section. With this one, even though I still have a potential that I will end up with a C-section like everybody else, I am going for vaginal birth after C-section, which is called VBAC. And I was like, okay, what are my options for painkillers? Because I never even thought about it or researched it. I have done epidural in the past. Epidural is something that goes right into your spine and it pretty much makes everything numb. Now, the downside of epidural is that it can slow down your contractions. So if you do decide to go for it, just on like personal examples that I've heard from people, wait up until you cannot take it anymore. So don't really go for it too early. It could slow down your labor and you might have to have other medications to, again, speed up the contraction. I've been pretty tired off and on. Sometimes I get a bit moody. Like yesterday I was like extremely like uncomfortable. I had like body sweat, and I just want to say that I've had so much help throughout this past months and a half, just to make it, like, you know, kind of like the family came together, like Justin, my mom has been with us for 3 weeks. She took 3 weeks of her life being here. She helps me around the house like on a daily basis with cooking, like folding the laundry, things like that. Justin takes on the kids every time he has a chance or like a break, and I get the option. And then, like, you know, I obviously shared with you that I have pre-planned a lot of help and like activities for kids, and I hired the help. Like we did some summer camps during June where I needed more time. And then this time I have like a nanny for a few hours a day, not every day, just because I became more active. And then we have a tutor, we have music lessons, Russian lessons. So like you know, when you are pregnant and you have children, you have to also think about how you're going to keep running your household. So that's one of the things I think we've done a great job of like pre-planning it. Okay, now let's look at the belly, and then I'm gonna talk about what I think was the biggest difference during this pregnancy. So I was on progesterone shots from my Kina up until 36 weeks, which was 2 weeks ago. I was on the fence on getting them because I did have them with my second pregnancy, and I still went into labor at 35 weeks. And at the time, I also thought that it induced gestational diabetes, which it could have not. You know, there's a lot of iffy things, and there's really no answer for why you go in labor the way that you do. So all of that I'm going to be sharing right now is a speculation, and it also is just based on my personal experience and my body. Now, there were two things that were very different for me in this pregnancy from the other ones. First one is the level of activity that I've taken. When I was pregnant for the second time, well, the first pregnancy, I worked out, I lived extremely active lifestyle, wasn't really careful with having sex or anything like that. It was just, you know, I was living my healthy pregnancy that I had. And just so you know, if you've never watched my Harry's pregnancy video, I have done it. So I had no reasons not to be the way I was at the time. And then I ended up in early labor with premature rupture of membrane, so my water broke early. Second time around, I was much more careful. I did not work out. I was on progesterone, but I also had a toddler. And Scarlett was 16 months when I got pregnant. So by the time I was at the end of it, she was getting close to 2. We were also doing sleep training. So I was running up and down the stairs at night, trying to get her to sleep in her bed. So even though I did not work out, my level of activity was still relatively high. And especially if you chase a toddler, I carried her, I picked her up. Now, with this pregnancy, the kids are older. I have a 4 and a 6-year-old, and I did not carry them. They were at school most of the year. So then we would have after school activities. So I was able to manage the amount of activity, physical activity, like picking up, pulling, doing all those things much more. Now it did lead to extra weight gain. I'm the heaviest I've been in any of my pregnancies. But at the same time, being that careful, I think contributed greatly to me being able to carry. So if you had a premature birth before, and my doctors would tell me, oh, just go for a walk. I was like, no, I'm not. Because it is more important for me right now, and if you watched my updates before, to carry this baby than to be active. And you know, I hit 34 weeks, I wasn't scared anymore, and then I started the activity. Again, I have a lot of work to do, but I think it's worth it, making it full term. And the second one, which I think should be honestly almost like a routine, you know, they give you progesterone as a routine, why wouldn't they check for this as a routine? Is a lot of the times, if your issue was premature rupture of membrane, so early, like breaking of the water too early, checking in for vaginosis or bacterial disbalance. It is one of the most common causes for premature rupture of membranes, and then it never is checked. So unless you truly mention it to your doctor and be like, hey, I think I have some discharge, can you check this discharge? They won't do it routinely. And I had vaginosis during this pregnancy, so it's not something that is introduced in your body. It is your hormones can affect the balance between good and bad bacteria within your system. So you will be treated for vaginosis. And another thing you can do is to take probiotics. Ever since I took probiotics, I have not had problems with my discharge, and I wish I had done it early. Now, there is no scientific study behind my situation. There is a scientific study behind that vaginosis can cause premature rupture of membrane. So research it if that's your situation. I was editing my video and I realized that I did not close it yesterday. Today's July 15, and I'm kind of glad I didn't close it yesterday because this morning I lost my mucus plug. So it's been about like 2 solid weeks of me having like labor signs, if you watched my previous vlog as well, because it started right beginning of July. I don't know if we're gonna go in labor today, in a few days. It's gonna happen. Was just when I lost my mucus plug, I went into labor the same day. But I'll keep you posted, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my update, and I hope to see you soon.